In 1931, a trawler called the Calinda was working the North Sea, about 40 kilometres off the coast of Norfolk. The nets came up heavy, and what came up with them was not fish. It was a lump of peat. Peat is a bog thing, a land thing, moss and reeds pressed down over centuries. It does not form under the sea. The skipper broke it open, and inside was a spear point. Red deer antler, barbed along one edge, about 22 centimetres long and shaped by somebody's hands. That point is in a museum in Norwich tonight, and its label is wrong by about 3,000 years. Under the North Sea there is a country, not a legend, not a drowned city with a myth attached, a mapped, chord, dated country, with rivers we can name and forests we have the DNA of. We call it Doggerland, and for 25 years, the story everybody tells about how it ended has been coming apart in the hands of the people studying it. Because there was a wave. That part is true. What is not true is what we think the wave did. Start with what nobody argues about. 20,000 years ago, the sea was 120 metres lower than it is today. The North Sea was not a sea, it was a plain, and as the ice pulled back, it became one of the best addresses in Europe. River valleys, reed beds, marshes thick with birds, red deer, wild boar, and people following both. For most of the 20th century, archaeologists called it a land bridge. In 1998, Brian E. Coles argued that this was precisely the wrong word. A bridge is something you cross to get somewhere else. This was the somewhere else. She renamed it Doggerland, and the name stuck. Then they went and mapped it. A project at Bradford called Europe's Lost Frontiers spent 6 years reading seismic survey data, the same data the oil industry shoots, and pulled a landscape back out of it. 185,000 square kilometres, hills, coastlines, a river system they named the Southern River, running for miles under open water. Then they started finding things. A worked stone tool lifted from a sandbank called the Brown Bank, not caught in a net by accident, but recovered because somebody predicted it was there. A fragment of skull dredged off the Dutch coast, a young Neanderthal man with a small cyst above one eyebrow. He is in a museum in Leiden. They call him Krine. And the spear point from the Calinda, the museum calls it a Maglemosian. The radiocarbon says 11,700 years old, 3,000 years older than its own label. None of that is in dispute. Here is what is. The whole country is underwater, and we have spent a very long time telling ourselves we know the moment it went. 8,150 years ago, a piece of the seafloor off the coast of Norway let go. It is called the Storegga Slide. A headwall almost 300 kilometres wide, sediment pouring down the continental slope in the dark, and behind it a tsunami that crossed the North Atlantic. We can still find it. There is a layer of sand lying on top of Mesolithic campfires in Scotland. 23 sites carry it. In Shetland, the water ran more than 20 metres above the shoreline. That is the number you have heard, but it is a Shetland number. When engineers modelled the wave actually crossing Doggerland, they got something else. A maximum flood depth of 7 metres, over about a third of the land. Their own words for it were, and I am quoting, comparable to storm events in the region. And in 2023, a team remeasured the landslide itself. The figure everybody repeats is 3,000 cubic kilometres of collapsing seabed. It is not. 70% of that material belongs to a different slide, 12,000 years earlier, that nobody had noticed. Storegga was roughly half the size we thought, so they went looking for the wave in Doggerland's own mud. In 2018, a coring rig pulled a tube of sediment out of a drowned river channel 42 kilometres off the English coast. Core ELF001A, and half a metre of it has the wave written out inside, a sharp cut where the energy arrives. Then 6 pulses, coarse then fine, coarse then fine, 6 times over, broken shell, small stones, and in the chemistry, salt water and fresh water alternating. The sea coming in, the sea going out, again and again. And then the sediment goes quiet, not drowned, quiet. Before that becomes a comfortable story. The other side deserves its best shot. And it has one. In 2008, a team led by Bernhard Wenninger made the catastrophist case, and it is not a foolish argument. By the time the wave arrived, Doggerland was barely a country anymore. It was low, it was flat, and it was mostly water already. 7 metres of salt water across a landscape whose high ground is a sandbank is not a storm. It is every freshwater spring poisoned, every stand of timber killed, every season's food gone, inside an afternoon. You do not have to drown a place to finish it. And the wave did not arrive alone. At almost the same moment, the last of the North American ice sheet gave way, and 2 enormous glacial lakes emptied into the Atlantic. In Greenland, the temperature fell 3.3 degrees in under 20 years, and stayed down for a century and a half. We call it the 8.2 kiloyear event, the sharpest cold snap in 10,000 years. Cold, then a wave, then rising water, all inside a few generations. It is very hard not to draw a line between them. And Vince Gaffney, whose own team produced the evidence that the land came back, will not let anybody off the hook. His words, "If you were standing on the shoreline that day, there is no doubt it would have been a bad day for you. It was a catastrophe. Many people, possibly thousands of people, must have died. Here is the uncomfortable part. We cannot check. Not one human body has ever been recovered from a Storegga deposit, anywhere. And nobody has ever published a population figure for Doggerland. Nobody knows how many people were out there to lose. So instead of counting the dead, count what came back." Earlier this year, a team at Warwick and Bradford pulled DNA straight out of the seabed. 252 samples, 41 cores along the drowned southern river. No bones, no tools, just the genetic residue of everything that ever lived in that mud. They found oak, elm, hazel, 16,000 years ago, thousands of years before those trees are supposed to have reached this corner of the world. Lime, thousands of years early. Wild boar, which means closed forest, not scrub. And they found a tree called Pterocarya, a relative of the walnut. It is supposed to have vanished from northwest Europe 400,000 years ago, which turns the story inside out. Doggerland may not have been a place life was retreating from. It may have been where life hid, a warm pocket that survived the ice and receded the north when the ice let go. Then there is the water itself. Last year, a study in Nature rebuilt the sea level curve out of Doggerland's own peat. At its very fastest, the sea rose 9 millimetres a year. 9 millimetres. That is not a wall of water. On any single day you were alive, it is nothing at all. It is a metre a century. The shoreline further in than it was when you were a child. A fishing camp your grandmother used, now a sandbank. An island where there was a headland. That is what took Doggerland. Not an afternoon. About 3,500 years of afternoons. And the DNA says the last of it was still dry ground 7,000 years ago, 1,000 years after the wave. So where does that leave it? Known. Doggerland was real, forested and lived in. The wave happened. We have 6 pulses of it in the mud. The sea rose, and it rose slowly, uncertain what the wave actually cost. Whether the cold made it worse. Whether that layer in core, ELF001A, is even Storegga. It is dated by luminescence, which puts it in the right century, not on the right day. Open. Everything about the people. No human DNA has ever come out of Doggerland's sediment. Not one grave, not one body. There is a project running right now, training machine learning across 3 million square kilometres of drowned landscape to work out where to look next. So somebody may yet be found, which leaves the question I cannot answer for you. If there was still dry land out there 7,000 years ago, was anyone standing on it, watching the water come? What do you think? And that is where I will leave it. And if there is a mystery you would love to see untangled, tell me. Until the next one.